2 weeks ago, the hockey world gasped when the New York Islanders strode to the podium and claimed Erie Otters blueliner Matthew Schaefer with the first selection of the 2025 draft. Fans cheered, rivals groaned, and analysts rushed to answer one question: could an 18-year-old defenseman really swing the league's balance of power? Today we dig deep, past the highlights, through the heartbreak, to discover whether Schaefer's arrival marks a turning point for Long Island, and perhaps for the entire NHL. But his path to greatness is packed with twists most prospects never face, and the next few months will reveal if hype can survive reality. Nobody expected the Islanders to win the lottery. Their odds barely cracked single digits. When the ping pong balls bounced in their favor, it felt less like random chance and more like destiny inching the franchise toward renewal. Less than 3 minutes after NHL Commissioner Phil Daly announced the pick, Schaefer's name shot to number one on social media trending charts worldwide. Behind the scenes, newly hired GM Matthew Schaefer, tasked with modernizing an aging roster, wasted no time branding the selection the cornerstone of a new era. He doubled down by acquiring 2 extra first-rounders the same night, envisioning a fast-track rebuild that pivots around Schaefer's two-way brilliance. In one dizzying evening, the Islanders morphed from perennial bubble team to headline-stealing wildcard, and every storyline since flows from that thunderbolt. Yet a lottery windfall is only half the tale. Schaefer's unique toolkit makes believers think the gamble might actually pay off. Picture a defender who marries Quinn Hughes' edge work to Miro Heiskanen's calm and Cale Makar's burst. That's the scouting shorthand you hear when Schaefer's name comes up. At 6 feet 2 inches and 186 pounds, he owns the angular frame NHL coaches crave, but his real superpower is 4-way acceleration. He can pivot from goal line to blue line faster than many wings can match him stride for stride. Even after missing most of the OHL season, he racked up 22 points in 17 games. Good for a jaw-dropping 1.29 points per game. Elite company for an 18-year-old D-man. Scouts rave about a first pass with built-in deception, the kind that springs breakaways rather than merely clearing the zone. His lateral shuffles on the blue line create shooting lanes out of thin air, while a sneaky wrist shot hits top corners through traffic. Analytical models project his expected wins above replacement to jump into positive territory the moment he steps onto NHL ice, even if the coaching staff feeds him easier starts. That's not guesswork, it's math screaming that his impact could dwarf typical rookie curves. But raw tools only shine after they've been hammered in the furnace of adversity, and Schaefer's forge was hotter than most can comprehend. December 27th, 2024, Team Canada versus Latvia at the World Juniors. Midway through the first period, Schaefer barreled into the net, shattering his clavicle. Just like that, his dream season hit pause. Doctors projected a 3-month hiatus. Many draft followers quietly wondered if the injury would derail his #1 status. The fracture, though, was only one blow in a year, packed with personal tragedy. Months earlier, his mother, Jennifer, succumbed to cancer. Weeks after that heartbreak, his billet mother, Emily Matson, tragically took her own life. 2 maternal figures gone before his 18th birthday. Friends recall a teenager who turned grief into grit, arriving at the rink before dawn, rep after rep, refusing to let darkness define him. When he finally returned to the ice for Erie's late-season scrimmage, Schaefer skated like a man chasing borrowed time. Gathered around the glass, scouts whispered that the healing process seemed to have sharpened him, every stride deeper, every pass packed with extra venom. No wonder the CHL named him top draft prospect despite only 17 appearances. Courage under fire drew eyes, but the draft floor still buzzed with contentious debate. Was there a safer pick lurking behind the spotlight? Inside the final 48 hours before the draft, tension spiked. Rumblings suggested several executives favored high-octane forwards Michael Misa or James Hagens. ESPN's mock board even swapped number, won twice in 24 hours. On Reddit's r/NHL draft, posters argued that Schaefer's 17-game sample size was too small to trust, especially after a 3-month layoff. A whisper swirled that the Islanders were exploring a blockbuster trade to snag both Schaefer and a top forward, though insiders later dismissed it as posturing. Still, those rumors underscored the stakes. Some saw Schaefer as generational. Others feared he might be another too-good-to-be-true defense flash who fizzles when the NHL calendar grinds on. One pointed criticism: he occasionally steps up at the blue line too aggressively, surrendering odd-man rushes if his partner lags. Coaches chalk it up to youthful exuberance, but rival clubs circled that flaw like sharks smelling a drip of blood. Question marks aside, the moment the Islanders made their pick, eyes whirled to a single concern. How soon does he change their lineup? Training camp scrimmages provided an early taste. Schaefer ran point on power play 1, spraying tape-to-tape lasers while shouting instructions like a seasoned vet. Head coach Lane Lambert called his puck retrieval speed borderline unfair. Yet management must balance burning a year of his entry-level deal against giving him 30 minutes a night in Erie. Mathieu Darsha has hinted that the door is open if he demands it, leaving the decision squarely in Schaefer's hands. Early analytics project, he could post a positive WAR even in 15 sheltered minutes per game, driven by transition exits and offensive zone starts. Whether he opens the season on the island or not, the Islanders' depth chart already bends around his presence. Every veteran knows their minutes will shrink once number 78 is ready for prime time. If he sticks immediately, the next logical puzzle is what kind of ceiling are we talking about? All-Star, Norris, or something that forces us to rethink defense entirely? Central Scouting labels him a future franchise cornerstone. Pundits scramble for comps. Some land on a right shot Quinn Hughes. Others flex to Cale Makar due to the swivel hips and turbocharged activations. A Bleacher Report column argued his rush patterns could redefine how teams structure neutral zone traps, because opponents must respect his coast-to-coast threat on every breakout. Data science firm StackShift ran 10,000 Monte Carlo simulations and found Schaefer carried a 29% probability of posting a 60-point season within his first 3 NHL years, nearly double the historical rate for top-pair rookies. Even more staggering, their model pegged a 12% chance he wins a Norris Trophy before age 25. Still, the highest praise comes from players. At a summer skate in Toronto, Mark Giordano, a Norris winner himself, remarked, "I never saw a kid that young compute on-ice math so fast. He's 2 plays ahead." That intangible anticipation might be the ingredient that converts lofty projections into actual banners. Yet big upside is meaningless without acknowledging the pitfalls waiting to ambush any golden prospect. First, size versus muscle. 186 pounds on a 6'2" 2-inch frame leaves room for growth. NHL forecheckers weighing 215 will test his core, and until he adds 10 to 15 pounds of functional strength, he could cough pucks under pressure along the end boards. Scouts also note the occasional hero rush that strands his partner in defensive limbo. Turn those mistakes into highlight reel goals against, and confidence can wobble. Psychologically, the glare of New York media eclipses junior hockey spotlights. The same grief that forged his resilience could resurface under stress. The organization intends to shield him with veteran mentorship. Adam Pelech already trains with him thrice weekly, but pressure is relentless once October lights flicker on. Finally, consider the Islanders' suddenly crowded right side depth. Re-signing Adam Bokvist and inking Tony DeAngelo and Ethan Bear means Schaefer might open in Erie by necessity, not preference. Delay sometimes benefits teenagers, other times it stalls momentum. The front office walks a tightrope, and yet, if he clears those hurdles, the historical echoes become impossible to ignore. The Islanders have chased a true number 1 defenseman since the days of Dennis Potvin. Lottery fortune finally handed them a shot, but luck alone cannot sculpt legends. Schaefer's skating already terrifies rivals. His mindset forged in personal sorrow grants him perspective veterans spend years discovering. He arrives not as a blank slate, but as a young man intimate with loss and equipped with a game that blends velocity, vision, and calculation. Should he hit his projected ceiling, the ripple effects could be seismic. New York vaults from middling to menacing. Metro rivals scramble to counter a blueliner who drives a fence like an elite center, and front offices start hunting the next Schaefer instead of merely stockpiling goal scorers. If his triumphs match the whispers, we'll trace a line from June 27th, 2025 to future rule tweaks designed to slow defensemen who attack with forward-like fury. But for every destined superstar, there's a cautionary tale of promise undone. Will Matthew Schaefer bend history, or will history remind us that teenage prophecy is fragile? The puck drops on that answer soon. Until then, ask yourself, what happens to a league when a franchise's greatest question mark morphs into its most undeniable exclamation point? Let me know your verdict in the comments, and stay tuned, because the first chapter of this story has only just been written.